All right. Hello, everybody. I am Catherine Barnes. This is the Wonderful Being podcast, and I am so excited to be here today with Philip Magin, who is the writer. Wait, you already told me all the things, and I already forgot them. Okay, you say all the things that you are for this great show. Turn me on, Dead Man.
Hi, my name is Philip Magin. I am the writer, director, and co-producer of Turn Me On, Dead Man.
That's it. Writer, director, co-producer. That's a mouthful. Outstanding. Okay, so tell us all about this show.
Totally. So about 3 years ago, I was watching YouTube videos on my TV in my living room, and it was music videos of the Beatles, and they were remastered in 4K, and so they looked like they were shot a week ago, even though they were from the 60s. And so I was watching it, and I was really fascinated because I realized they were all super young. And I was looking up a lot of stuff about them and the fact that they're one of the most influential bands of all time, and their music changed so drastically from the early days to near the end, just from pop songs to making avant-garde music in a little less than 10 years. And I was looking up a lot of things, and I came across the Paul McCartney is dead conspiracy theory. And I'd never heard of this conspiracy theory before. And it was started by a radio DJ who was saying that Paul McCartney died in a car accident, was replaced by a look-alike, and there were all these like clues, and in these songs there were these hidden messages. And so I was really inspired by that. And I thought, that would make a really interesting Fringe show, because I had done Fringe shows in the past, and a lot of the ones that I'd seen that were really great were kind of like out there ideas and were, really just interesting anecdotes and stories. And so I thought, oh, this might be a really cool Fringe show. And then I came across the song Revolution 9 from the White Album. And this song is an 8-minute sound collage recorded by the Beatles. It's considered the worst song the Beatles ever recorded. And it's the longest song they ever recorded too. And I realized that in Revolution 9, there's another kind of conspiracy theory regarding Paul is dead, where in the very beginning of the song, they say number 9, number 9, number 9. And if you play it backwards, and there's YouTube videos that do this, it says, turn me on, dead man, turn me on, dead man, turn me on, dead man. And so I combined Revolution 9, the Paul is dead conspiracy theory. And so the show takes place during a single day of them recording Revolution 9 with John, George, who's George Martin, Harry, who's George Harrison, and Paul, and then who's Yoko Ono, and they're recording Revolution 9. And so that's kind of the genesis of the play, is that John is trying to figure out really if the Paul is dead thing really is real or not.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So, that sounds like that we're going to be seeing a window into the Beatles at a time when they were going through a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, are you a musician yourself? Do you have any kind of experience with this kind of band drama or in any other area of your life?
For me, I come from mostly an acting background. I've done a lot of plays, and I've done a lot of plays locally in San Diego. I did recent plays at Moxie Theater in La Mesa. I was an understudy at San Diego Repertory Theater. I worked at La Jolla Playhouse Wow Festival and Tuyo Theater. And so I mostly have an actor background, and I do write a lot of plays, but it is hard to produce plays, and so I don't do it as often as I'd like. But for me, I really don't have much of a musical background. I don't play instruments. I can't sing very well, but I've always been fascinated by people that people that can write music really well, and people that can sing and play a multitude of instruments. So I liked the idea of the show where, you don't really hear any like actual songs. It's not a musical, but it's a play, and it's very dialogue heavy. So you're seeing this band of these artists that are very talented, but you're not actually seeing them, sing. You're not seeing them play songs, but it really is kind of focused on their relationships and their stories. And in this show, it's taking a very revisionist history look at things that happened. Like our Beatles characters are not, it's not the most faithful adaptation of them from history. So there's a lot of artistic liberties, but it's fun because there's a lot of real life things from Beatles history that I've also kind of sprinkled in. So, going in, there's going to be some suspension of disbelief needed. It's not going to be the most straightforward Beatles story. It won't be like the documentary that Disney Plus released, but it'll be an entertaining ride for sure.
So, and it's interesting because in the promotional materials that I've seen for the show, you're very careful not to say the Beatles. Like you say, like a certain English band. So it sounds like we should all go in expecting something that's like based on the Beatles, but isn't like exactly the Beatles.
Yeah, because it's not going to be, watching, what I like about the show is that, like, watching it, like, very quickly you will realize that, oh, this is the Beatles, but it starts off a little vague in terms of the way the show is structured. And I was consulting a lot of people, and I guess in some ways the show could be considered parody. I'm not sure what the copyright things are really, regarding that. And so I was kind of careful with some promotional things. I didn't want to just straightforward, like, none of the last names are used in the show. And I have kind of like these little like disguises where, so George Martin is played by Jason Maddie, and we call him George throughout the show. But there's two Georges, because there's George Harrison, George Martin. So for George Harrison, he's only referred to as Harry throughout the whole show. And so there's kind of these little like name changes I did throughout to just kind of like, so like the word Beatles is never said in the entire play. So there's some little like tweaks here, but it's just kind of like, I wanted to take something and I want to kind of flip it on its axis and, show people the show. And, it's really fun. It's out there. And so I'm looking forward to what people think of it.
Awesome. Very cool. So, you've got one hat on right now, but for this show, you're wearing the three hats, the writer, producer, and director, right? Is this the first time that you've done that, or have you done something like that in the past?
I've done it a few times in the past. So I'm fortunate. This is actually my 5th San Diego Fringe Festival.
Wow.
Really crazy. So I was in the 2014 Fringe Festival. I was alongside my friends Jacob Surofsky, Tyler Faison. We had this puppet busking troupe where we were going around the former Horton Plaza Mall, and we were doing this puppet show. And it was really surprising. We won Outstanding Street Theater Artists for the Fringe Festival that year. And we were all like super young, and we were super elated about that. And then the next year I was an actor in a play. And then in 2016, I wrote, directed, and produced my first show for the Fringe Festival, which was super fun. It was based off of I took this Oscar Wilde. It was about a group of actors that were producing an Oscar Wilde play where a bunch of hijinks ensue, and we were in the 10th Avenue Arts Center downtown. And it was very much just an exercise of me trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. I found that, there was a lot of, I've learned so much, and I'm still learning from this process with every show I do. And then a year later, I did the show called Fulcrum that was in the Lyceum space. That was another kind of big cast. It was a play. I was the writer, director, producer for that. And then that was a lot of fun. And that was the last show I did for Fringe. So it's been 5 years since I did the Fringe Festival. And then I did an independently produced play where I acted in it, wrote it, directed, and produced it, which was a lot. I don't know if I'm ever gonna direct myself as an actor on the stage again. That was a big challenge.
Oh
So
yeah.
I like kind of taking a step back and just seeing everything lay out. And I've got such a wonderful, talented group of actors. One of the lead actor, Jeffrey Ulysses Geisinger, is one of my best friends, and we've known each other since we did youth theater back in the day. We went to high school. He's been in all my previous Fringe projects, and so he's really been a huge help. He's the one that plays John in the show, and he's on all the posters.
Yep.
And so that's been really cool. And then I'm directing a former mentor of mine as well, Jason Maddie. Jason Maddie is an actor who's been all over stages in San Diego, at the Old Globe, at Signet, San Diego Rep, and he's directed me in some shows. And it's really it's weird now for me to be directing him in a play. And so I've learned a lot, and it's been a very collaborative process. There's a lot of table work and kind of blocking suggestions, and it feels just like, it feels really great because I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with, and I've got a really solid cast that all comes in with strong ideas and suggestions, and we try it out, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but if it does, like, we'll use it. And so I've been really fortunate with that.
Awesome. So it sounds like, are you from San Diego?
I am, yeah. I've been here since I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I grew up doing youth theater here, went to high school here, and then I went to college at San Diego State, and I graduated a year ago.
Oh, very nice. Congratulations. Just I'm from San Diego myself. Where did you go to high school and what youth theater did you do?
I did North Coast Repertory Theater School, which was the youth theater, and so up in Solana Beach, and then I went to Canyon Crest Academy, which is down
Yep.
the street, yeah, from Torrey Pines High School. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was super fortunate to go there for high school because they had a big theater program, an arts program,
You
and
do.
yeah, and they were great because they had a proscenium theater and a black box theater too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they had some really cool arts programs there, and not just for theater, but for dance, for painting, for film. And I was super fortunate to go there, and it was a really great group of kids. And Jeffrey actually went to Cathedral Catholic for 2 years and then transferred to CCA because he was
Mm.
like, I want to get in on the plays over there. And that was cool again. So we've always kind of like our paths and careers have kind of followed each other for a long time, which is really great.
Awesome. I love it. So it sounds like, you've had a lot of experience with writing and producing and directing your own plays. Would you have any advice for anyone who might be looking to do that themselves?
I would definitely say like practice makes perfect, but at the same time, like what is perfect, like that's a really hard thing to achieve. And I'd say that like, this is the third show I produced for the Fringe Festival, and there's so many mistakes I've made in the past, and there's so many things that like I tried out or I didn't try out that I now have. And so I'm so sorry. I got a
That's
little
okay. You're popular. What can you do?
there's so many things I've tried out that like didn't work or I didn't, and I'm just like I think that you have to go in knowing it's going to take a lot of hard work. If you produce a show, you know it's not just going to be opening night, like all these people are just going to show up if you don't post anything about it or don't promote it. And so we've been really good this time around at trying to reach out to as many people as possible, and just getting emails of press or other contacts and inviting people to the show, mailing postcards or putting out flyers. And so it's really been like a big lesson, because when you do youth theater, like growing up, it's like, oh, like all your parents, all your friends will come out and see your show. But then taking it to something like the Fringe Festival, especially if you're out of town as well, like you don't have that support from the home base. And so it's really like up to you to like promote it. And I'm lucky because I'm still in San Diego, and so I will have friends coming to see the show, but it's hard for them sometimes. Like a lot of people were like, oh, I was going to see the show, but you're not acting in it. Like, I want to see you like act on the stage. And I'm like, no, that's not the only thing I do. I'm producing the show, as I produce shows as well. And I want to demonstrate that as well. And so, that can be tricky sometimes, but, overall, like, I'm just thankful, like I'm thankful. Like, I've learned a lot from different mistakes in the past. And I'd say, it just takes a lot of effort and a lot of trial and error. And I just think that like with everything I write and produce, like I learn so many mistakes, how to rectify them. And I know that in the future, like, should I do the Fringe again, like there's already things that I'm like, oh yeah, like next time I'm gonna take it from this angle, or I'm gonna do this instead. And so I think it's just a trial and error process. Just don't be afraid to make mistakes, and just keep on trying hard, and just and do things that you love. Like I have a lot more faith in this script than I did my other ones. And so I think that shows in the process, where it's like, I've got a great team of people, and I'm really thankful for that.
So, okay, there's like four different questions I could ask you. That's really outstanding advice, I think, especially about the promotion. I think a lot of people go into Fringe not really knowing about that. Let me follow up with a question about your team, because you keep talking about, oh, I've got this awesome team. Like a lot of times people don't realize Fringe takes a team. So tell me about that. Who's on your team?
Yeah, I've got a group of 5 different actors. I've got Jeffrey Ulysses Geisinger, Jason Maddie, Nicholas A. Castillo, Lavani Corgan Shavili, and then Angeline AJ Pawan. And so they're all wonderful actors. And with when casting a play, I've got 5 different actors. And it wasn't really so much like I tried to get people to audition and I didn't have a lot of submissions, but for all these people, they're all local actors that I'd seen in some capacity or another, or I'd worked with. And so AJ and I were understudies for a play, and I was seeing AJ perform on stage during understudy rehearsals. And I thought, oh, she's brilliant. Like, I would love to, ask her to be in my show. And then Jason, I've known for years, and Jeffrey, and then Lavani, I saw in a show, and I reached out to Lavani and asked, and I said, hey, like, I can offer you a stipend for the show, and this is the script. And Lavani was like, I'm in. And then Nicholas, I saw Nicholas in a show as well. And then Nicholas was super like, was super excited to jump on board. And so I was really excited about that. And my stage manager is Isabella Soleil, and she's wonderful. She's also an actor and she's been in shows of mine. And then my sound designer is Sarush Madavi. And Sarush and I have worked on shows in the past, and he's the one that built up the Q Lab for me and found a lot of the sound effects. And yeah, I had other friends of mine too that I reached out. My friend Constantine Mickens, he was the one that designed all of our posters and postcards, which was a huge help because I
They're
really don't
super
have.
cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really don't have much experience with graphic design, but that's something he does all the time. And so I reached out to him and he gave me a rough draft of it. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want. And then my other friend, Keon Haydari, who has been in a lot of Fringe shows as well, he's the one where in the very beginning of the show, we have this kind of faux Revolution 9 playing, the sound composition that plays for about 35 seconds. And he was the one that composed that. And it's really cool. And I helped provide some voices, but he did all the composition, rearranging. And so, yeah, I got by with a little help from my friends. So I was I was super happy with that. And they were all great people to work with. And I think that like, I've had my last Fringe show I had 17 actors in it,
Oh
which
my
was
God.
way too much. That was too much of a hassle to organize rehearsals and getting everybody there and all the Fringe passes. And I like having like this show is great because I've got 5 actors that are all just super great to work with, and they're all just super committed, and they're willing to try out anything. And so I think, and with the show too, like it's a lot more simplified. We're all in one location. Our set basically just stays on the stage the whole time, which is really great. And so I think from trial and error too, going back to what you had asked me about, it's like it's much easier to produce a show that's under an hour where it's all in one location. Because I've done shows in the past that were like, oh, there's a quick little scene and then lights down, set change, and then this and
Mm,
that. And it can be complicated, especially, given the time constraints. And so I really came in with this thinking, okay, I'm going to make the tech as simple as possible, location simple as possible, less actors as possible, and just trying to simplify everything for myself because
keep
I
it
did
simple.
I did it before in the past, made the mistakes, and now I'm like, okay, I'm going to write this knowing that I'm going to have some tech limitations. I want to just work with like a small group of great actors, and just getting people on my team that I know from the past were great. And so, yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
I love it. So I wanted to ask you quickly, you mentioned that you did the show that was kind of like a street theater type of situation where you guys were wandering around Horton Plaza Mall back when the Fringe was downtown. Um, do you have any advice or suggestions for people who might be interested in doing that type of thing, that type of street performing, which we technically can't do in Balboa Park, but I think some of us are going to do it
um Yeah, it was definitely I had never done that before. That was the first time I'd ever done that. And honestly, I think that's the last time I ever did it. It was like that was just the nature of it where my friend was really interested in getting into the festival and had reached out to Kevin Charles Patterson and Sean Davis. And they were like, yeah, we're looking for some street buskers to go around the Horton Plaza Mall. And if you'd like to do that, like go for it. We'll give you Fringe passes. You'll be on the website, and you can even like put out a hat if you want people to drop money or any of that. And so that's what we did, and it was hard. Sometimes we had people where we'd perform in front of some benches and people would come and sit down, and it was like a puppet show. it was like a circus puppet show where I was the ringmaster. So I was not a puppet, but then my other friends were in the back with puppets on like a little stand. And I had a megaphone with me that we
Oh,
decided to do. Yeah, which was, and we got into some trouble with some of the shops and stores at the time. There was an employee from Macy's that came out that was like, "Hey, you can't have a megaphone in here. You're just being disruptive to everyone." And the megaphone was bad too because there was like a siren sound effect as well, where I had the megaphone and I was like, "Come on, everybody, to the We Three Puppet Circus. Come on over now." And but then if you just kind of adjusted like if you push the button with your thumb, the slider a little bit, it would go right to the siren. And the siren was just, it sounded like an ambulance. And so we got into some trouble. And I remember like, I don't know, I was a dumb kid and I probably just pressed it to be funny a couple times. And we probably got some flack from people. But that was just, it taught us a lot. Like there were people that were really engaged with us and there were people that weren't. And I think too, like, when you go around Balboa Park and you're flyering and you're giving things out to people, some people are going to be super, super willing to take some flyers and postcards and going to be engaged. Other people are going to say, "Oh, no, thank you. Like, I don't really want one." And, that's okay too. That's just the nature of the Fringe Festival. Like in the past, the shows I've done, there were people that loved our shows. Some people did not really care for our shows. So it's all a matter of opinion. And it's just like, it's not something to take personally. Art is super just, it's a wide range of interests and likes. Some people love musicals, some people don't like musicals. It's not everyone's thing. And
right.
so it's good to like not take that personally as people that create art and want to entertain people, because you really don't know what someone's going to be into or not. So
Right.
I just think like, but it's just great to just put it out there and see how it's responded to.
I love it. Hey, that sounds like an outstanding Fringe attitude to me.
Yeah,
So
it's all like going into it. I just come in like with a positive attitude because it's a lot. It's exhausting and there's a lot of running around and hoops to maneuver. But it's really refreshing to see, especially after a 3-year period where the Fringe Festival didn't happen, to go out and see all these artists and to sit in during previews and see all these people putting up these shows and people from across the country and states. And it's really just great to see, and it makes me happy because I remember like 2 years ago just hanging out in my room on Zoom classes for university, and I was like, oh, I really miss being on a stage right now. And and that was the thing too with this play, where I was writing a lot of it over COVID 2 years ago, and I kind of was
mhm.
like, I have no idea whenever I'm going to put this up, if it ever happens. And I just remember like writing 20 pages of it, putting it away, and then months later picking it up again, reading through it, thinking, oh, it would be cool to do this someday. And it's finally happening, so I'm excited.
I love it. I love it. This show is a COVID baby and you're getting to see your dream come true. So that is outstanding. Hey, where can people find your show? Where can they find you? When's your opening performance?
Our opening performance is June 3rd, which is Friday at
Tomorrow.
9
Or I
tomorrow.
guess
Yeah.
I think I'll be posting this. Okay. Well, it's Friday the 3rd and I plan to post it on Friday the 3rd. So there you go.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so it's going to be 9 p.m. Friday, June 3rd, and we're going to be at the Marie Hitchcock Puppet Theater. You can buy tickets at the door, or you can go to www.sdfringe.org and find Turn Me On Dead Man. You can also find us on Instagram. So our theater company is called Mainstage Mavericks.
Okay.
And so on Instagram at Mainstage Mavericks, and we're also on Facebook. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to www.philipmagin.com. And there's some more stuff about me posted and about the show. And yeah, there's a million ways to get tickets, and it'll be a fun time.
It'll
And
definitely be a fun time.
I'm super excited to see your show. We all are
Oh,
thrilled to
yes,
see
no,
it.
maybe so.
Yes, we loved your preview performance.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I was so relieved that people laughed. I was like, "Oh no, this is so scary. There are tubas, there is magic, there is, like color and dance and things, and now I'm going to be awkward," and people still liked it. That's why I love Fringe. People have an open mind.
Yes, and
Right.
you've done many Fringe festivals, right?
I guess I have. Yeah, I did San Diego for the first time in 2018 because, I live here. And then I did Tucson. I've done that in person in 2019, and then I did it virtually in this past January. So that was 2022. I've done High Desert Fringe a couple times, and then last year I took Yes, No, Maybe So to Hollywood Fringe, and that is another story for another time, because that Fringe festival is very big and very intense and very different than San Diego. So yeah, I've done some Fringe festivals in my day.
That's wonderful. That's super cool. Yeah, it's our hope that someday, we're able to do. I was doing a show with someone else that was producing it, but he really wanted to take it to Tucson Fringe, and he was considering that, and it never ended up happening. But my friend actually is doing Hollywood Fringe this summer and has a show there, and he was a big San Diego Fringe person, producing a lot of shows there, and so I'm happy that someday I hope to do another Fringe festival outside of San Diego. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot of experience producing locally, and I can tell you that if you know how to do that, like, you've probably got a leg up for taking the show on tour.
Oh, thank
So,
you. I appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. So hey, everybody, go see Turn Me On, Dead Man, done by the remind me the name of your company again.
Main Stage Mavericks.
By the Main Stage Mavericks, and check out Mr. Philip Magin. Thank you so much for coming and doing this interview with me today. And I am really, really excited to see your show tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We are so excited to see your show. I'm going to get my whole cast there.
Yay! Take care.
Thank you.